different, but for the majority of us, we have a lot of terror or fear about being ourselves. Yeah. Paul, thanks.
It's really exhausting for myself, I think, if I let myself out a bit and socially, and then...
Why is it exhausting, Paul? What do you feel when you feel exhausted?
Well, I want to rest off it. I want to rest off the risk of being exposed.
Yeah, but it's only exhausting because you're preventing the fear of the risk. You're suppressing an emotion while you're attempting to share yourself. Because what I actually find is it's actually more relaxing to share yourself or be yourself than it is to present a facade to somebody. Because a facade, you've got to think about it. You've got to work, what about this person? What do they want from me? There's a whole heap of things you've got to do. But when you're really being yourself, you don't have to do those things anymore. So it's actually relaxing. So if you're not finding it relaxing, it's because you're not allowing the fear emotion to be felt while you're doing it. Does that make sense?
It's living in the fear.
Yeah, it's sort of like, no, it's not so much living in the fear. Fear takes an effort to suppress. And this is one of the things that many of you struggle to acknowledge, that a lot of the tiredness and exhaustion you feel is because you have to have a supreme effort to resist emotion. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
And the effort of resisting emotion causes your pain, causes the exhaustion. So what we need to do in any situation is be ourselves, and whatever emotion we feel while we're being ourselves, allow it to be experienced. Now, if we do that, we won't come away exhausted from the issue. We'll come away refreshed. We'll come away like alive. And we can go from situation to situation to situation to situation without feeling exhaustion. But as soon as we start suppressing some emotion, now there's an effort to do that. It requires energy. It sucks energy from us to do that. So it's going to be an exhausting process suppressing the emotion. So that's the reason for the exhaustion.
Yeah, like if I've been out or out socially, I'll need to come home and feel a lot of the stuff which I wasn't feeling while I was there as well.
Yeah.
It's like, but if I had been present to that at the time, then I wouldn't need that time to.
That's right.
To get back on the level in a sense.
Yes, that's right. But the reality is the environment at that time might not have allowed you to feel those emotions either. So this is where we've got to talk about sharing yourself, and there are some limitations to sharing yourself because of the potential environments you're in. But we'll talk about that in our next presentation. But for the most part, we need to learn to be ourselves no matter what, right? And if we be ourselves no matter what, you won't come away from situations feeling exhausted. You'll come away from situations feeling the same as what you felt when you went into them. You won't have a loss of energy. Yep.
Well, that's the hard thing for me because it's one challenge to take the risk.
Yeah.
But then the next challenge is to feel the feelings while I'm taking the risk.
Correct.
Correct. It's like, how do I do that?
Yeah, and that's the important thing to learn to do.
And actually, you're, I think, one of the few people that I've ever been able to do that with. In your presence, I feel I can do that a bit, but not much with others.
Yeah. So the reality is, the more loving a person is towards you, the more they'll allow you to do that. So that's also a great way of measuring how loving you think the environment is, isn't it? If you're taking the risk and whatever you feel can come up while you're taking the risk, then it tends to indicate that the environment is probably fairly loving, allowing you to express your emotions in a loving manner. Does that make sense?
Yep.
But if you're taking a risk and you feel exhausted in the environment, then it probably indicates the environment's a bit like it's trying to prevent you from taking the risk. It's trying to prevent you from being yourself.
Yeah.
So therefore, if you come away exhausted from an environment, it's always a good sign, because you can go back and look at the environment and go, yeah, what was put towards me in that place? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yep.